Hearing a lot of good things about North Carolina.
Huh?
I said I've been hearing a lot of good things about North Carolina.
Yeah, that's why I came out here. The real estate market, real good out here. They got a lot of black excellence stuff going on out here. They Black Tech Week, Black Excellence Pro weekends, a lot of stuff like that going on out here. Not, coming from me, I need to get out of Memphis, so why not?
You're from Memphis?
Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. So I have a list of questions. My questions aren't, I guess, kind of what I stick to. It just kind of guides the conversation just in case I kind of lose something to talk about. But what I really want to do is just kind of have a dialogue. It'll be more so like a conversation.
Right.
So let me see. Just moving this over here. And we'll get it going. What's your I know your name is Brandon. What's your last name if you want to go by it?
Jones.
Brandon Jones. And I saw you said that you made $500,000 on a deal, or $500,000.
Subdivision. Wholesale. It was a subdivision down in Mississippi.
Awesome. So we're going to definitely talk about that. Definitely going to talk about that.
Well.
I mean, as much as you can. You don't have to reveal anything you don't feel comfortable revealing.
It was some drama behind that one.
That's good. People love that stuff.
Man, what happened was I ended up wholesaling. Somebody came right behind me and they sold it for some more.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I got my money, but they ended up wholesaling it again right behind me.
That's crazy. We're definitely going to dig into that. Let me kick off the interview, and we'll just kind of see where it goes. I can always edit it, so it all works out. My lights. Let me turn off those lights. My lights are kind of jacked up. That might be better. Yeah, it's better. Is that better? That's better. This is the Todd Capital Millionaire Podcast. This is episode number 89. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd Millionaire, founder, director of the Todd Capital Investment Club. We have over 320 members, gaining more and more members every day. Also the founder of Todd Acquisitions. We acquired 6 rental properties in the first year. And what's really crazy is we fell short of our goal. The goal was 12 properties in that first year. We actually hit 6, but we're in the process of closing 2 properties in the beginning of January. So it's pretty cool how things work out just in the process of setting your goals, accomplishing your goals. And even if you fall short, you kind of set yourself up to do even bigger things in the next year. Thank you all for tuning in. The purpose of this podcast is to share the stories of successful African-American investors and business owners, so that people can hear the stories of successful examples, get inspired, get motivated. They exist. The reason why I created this podcast is I would talk to people on Twitter, on Instagram, and I could tell them all the things we could do, all the things we can make happen. And people would always say, oh, well, you can't do that because of white supremacy. Oh, you can't do that because of the systems that were against us. Oh, you can't do that because of slavery. However, I'm 89 episodes deep of people who have done it despite. So I think that kind of destroys the argument that you can't do anything. This brother today is somebody who proves that. He actually made $500,000 on a wholesale deal in 1 year. He said that he can make $20,000 in less than a month. He's doing some great things. He has an awesome backstory. He's out of Memphis. He's originally from Memphis, but right now he's in North Carolina. He moved to where the opportunity was, which is a lesson in and of itself. But I want to welcome the brother Brandon Jones, a.k.a. Brandon Quixote, a.k.a. B Real Estate Invest from Twitter. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.
So can you tell the listeners a little bit more about who you are and where you're from?
Well, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm 28. I just started wholesaling a little bit over 2 years ago. I had a friend I grew up with, reach out to me. He has a global real estate company. He also does insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff. He reached out to me one day and basically took me under his wing. He showed me the way, and I went and got it. I started out was going to go get my real estate license. Um, I was networking with people, and I ran across another guy, and he showed me to wholesale instead of trying to go get my license. So I ended up wholesaling first, and then ventured off and got my license or whatever.
So before
And,
I think that's very good advice. I think that's great advice. It's great advice for so many reasons. It's great advice because you can likely make more money wholesaling, but it's also great advice because there's less barriers to getting ahead in wholesaling. So I kind of want to touch in there, but keep going, man.
Right. But yeah, he did this, so I learned how to wholesale, and over the last 2 years, I've done a little bit over 100 deals. I think I'm like 125, 123.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I used to work security. I used to work 80 hours a week doing security. So I figured if I could work 80 hours doing for somebody else, I can work 80 hours for myself.
100%.
And I've been hard.
100%. I think that's dope, man. I think it's dope in a lot of ways. 100. Oh, you said how many? 150 deals.
123.
Let's talk about that first deal. What did that first deal look like for you?
The first deal was a JV. I found a house in the neighborhood I grew up in. For those who don't know, JV is a joint venture. That means I worked with another wholesaler. Found a house in my neighborhood, called the lady up. She was stubborn at first, didn't want to sell it. I told her I was trying to redevelop my neighborhood, which is one of my, actually my biggest why at the moment. Like, that's my goal, is to redevelop the neighborhood I grew up in. I told her what I was trying to do, and she ended up selling me the property for low, or let me get it on the contract for low. And another wholesaler found me a buyer, and we split a $7,500 profit. So, I mean, no, we split $7,000 profit. We both got $3,500 off of it.
That is dope. It's dope because one of the questions that I had was, how does a JV work for a wholesale deal? But what you're saying is that basically you found the deal, they found the buyer.
Right. That's that's how, if a JV, if it's not for a partnership already, then yeah, one person will bring a deal to the table and the other person will bring a buyer, and usually they split it 50-50.
I like it. I like it because I'm all about finding the way to make it happen. And I feel like a lot of people, what they'll do is they want to be all things. And so they want to find the buyers and they want to find the sellers. And if you could just focus on strictly finding buyers, there are wholesalers out there who already have a list of buyers. That's mind-blowing just in and of itself. Like, I've never heard that strategy before. I'm 89 episodes in. That's amazing.
Yeah, I coach wholesalers. So I ran across this guy from Chicago, actually. And I was teaching him how to wholesale and whatnot. And I want to say like a week or two later, he got buyers. He got over 1,000 buyers across the country. So he's taking that approach. He's going to bring buyers to all the wholesalers who need them, and just they get half the money like that.
It's genius. And that's why I love real estate. I love real estate for the creativity. I love business in general for the creativity. Like, the premise of business is creation. It's not, what can I get somebody to pay me for what they've determined what they're going to pay me for? It's like, how can I create something that's going to allow me to get paid? It's completely mind-boggling, and it just blows your mind because the common person is thinking like they have to fit into the system that already exists. They have to be a cog in the wheel. They have to go to school, get a degree, get a good job. That's basically like, how can I become a cog in what already exists, as opposed to creating something that doesn't exist yet? Huge. How are you finding so many deals? 123 deals. That's a lot of deals in 1 year, man. What are you doing?
Memphis is hot. I would Memphis is probably one of the hottest markets in the country right now. Has been consistent as long as I've even known about wholesaling, which is probably maybe 4 years. Um, I network. I will talk to anybody about real estate, and I will have them bring me deals, and they are called bird dogs. Basically, what they do is they'll see a vacant house or for sale by owner house, and I get them to take me a couple pictures and find the owner information if they can. And what they'll do is send me all the information on the house and the pictures. And once I close the deal, I'll send them anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000.
Nice. I think that's awesome too. I think that's really cool. So I listened to your podcast on corporate Coke and Smack, and I loved the backstory. I loved like how you were dating this girl, things didn't work out with her, and then you kind of did your own thing and leveled up. Can you tell us that story about the backstory of you getting into real estate? Not just how you met the guy who kind of plugged you, but like what happened before? Because I think that it's really important. Like I have a huge chip on my shoulder. People don't realize this on Twitter and Facebook, but I have a huge chip on my shoulder. And I feel like having a chip on your shoulder, having somebody to prove wrong is actually a lot of the motivation between why people get successful. So can you talk
Right.
to us about how that happened for you?
Okay, so a few years back, I was dating this girl. She was going to TSU up in Nashville, and I was still living in Memphis. I think we actually met through Twitter, uh, and I ended up moving her to Memphis. And things were good at first, but it fizzled out. And what was happening was I was paying over $1,000 in rent, but I was only making like $9.50 an hour, so I was working my tail off to make ends meet. And things didn't work out between us, and she left. I had to keep paying the bills as long as I could, and I was just working. Like I would work my tail off, and for a minute, I want to say for like a week, I was in a homeless shelter, and even though I had a job, I had to find somewhere to stay that was cheaper. And that when I got done with that, it something clicked. And I was listening to this song by a rapper named Starlito. I think the name of the song was Dreams and Nightmares. But I'm a Nightmares. But he said the first three books he read was Power, Habit, Hop on Pop, and Dream Psychology. So, me being a big fan of his, I read all three of those books. Power, Habit changed my life. It's by Charles Duhigg. That book basically shows you how to transform your bad habits into good habits. He teaches you that you can't get rid of habits, you can only transform them. And so I started living by that book. I started working like my work ethic has been crazy my entire life. I don't think nobody out there works hard as me, but that's another story. But yeah, I was working my tail off, and that's when my guy reached out to me, and he was like, the first question he asked me was, "Why you working so much?" And I was like, "I need the money." And he was like, "I'll show you a better way," basically. And then he talked to me every morning for like 30 minutes, and he had showed me what to do, but not like he'll show me the way. I say he showed me the way, and I go do my own research after he get off the phone with me between jobs, because at that point I think I was working like 2 or 3 jobs, and I started talking to people. Like that's my biggest thing. I will talk to anybody about what I'm doing because you never know who can help you or anything like that. And so once he did that, I started talking to people and learning, and I paid for a couple courses. And after that, as they say, the rest is history.
I think that what I'm hearing is that one of the dopest things that I heard is like you worked hard as an employee, but you also work hard as an entrepreneur. And I think that a lot of people have this mindset that they'll start working hard when they start working for themselves. And they don't realize like hard work is just like, I think it's a trait that a lot of people are born with. It's like just that ability to just like sacrifice and eat crap, as Gary Vee would say, put in those hours. It's translated into business success for you. Like business allows people to be successful, but it allows people with the right mindset and the right habits and the right attitude to be successful. If you're lazy and you go into business, you're going to fail. If you're driven and you go into business, you're going to succeed, whether you're in business or you're an employee. Like, you're going to succeed. That's why we've seen Mado succeed. He is a driven person. He succeeded in employment. He succeeded in college. He succeeds in business. A lot of these things, they translate. Like, you don't just all of a sudden become great because you're an entrepreneur. Like, no, like, you're a great entrepreneur because you're a great person, period.
Absolutely. I came into this with the mindset that if I could work 80, 90 hours for $1,200-$1,300 a week, and I made $3,500 in 20 hours of work, why not work 80 hours?
Right. Exactly. Man, I was up last night and I was working on my business. And I realized, I was like, you know what? Like, if I make money when I work, why wouldn't I work? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to sit and do nothing if I can make money. Like, I'm on a podcast right now, and we're both going to make money off of this podcast. We're not doing this for fun, although it is fun. It's like, you don't have to clock in 9 to 5 to make money. And if you're a hustler, you're going to work on a Sunday evening. You're going to work on a Saturday afternoon. Like, hustlers get it. And if money makes the world go round, why would you limit the money that you can bring in to 9 to 5? It doesn't make any sense. If money makes the world go round, it doesn't matter when you make the money. You can make the money on a Saturday evening, Sunday evening. You don't have to make money just between 9 and 5. Like, you should always be going after it.
Always. That's one of my biggest things. I'm on it 24/7. Even as far as my students, I tell them they can reach me. They have full access to me. I'm almost never not working.
I like it. So, what was your best deal?
My best deal would have to be the subdivision. Can't say a lot because there's some stuff going on with that currently, but I wholesaled the deal, made a little bit over $500,000, and took me about 2 or 3 months to find a buyer, and because the money, there's not a little bit amount of money. You have to know some people with deep pockets, and I wasn't wholesaling in Memphis mostly. Houses going for $25,000-$30,000. That's really not a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So find somebody who had $2-3 million to put up is something different. So it took me like 2 months to do it, but I ended up doing it, and I hear that it's back on the market for I want to say $1 million more than what they paid for it.
Wow.
So
a subdivision. What do you mean by that?
Subdivision. It was a group of homes. Actually, the government was doing a project down in Mississippi, and they put all these people that was down there to work. They put all them down there in a group of homes. It was I want to say about 35 homes. Gave them these balloon notes on these houses. They couldn't afford them. They ended up losing them. They ended up renting them out Section 8. And there were some issues with the property management. They were stealing money from the government. And the government, they had already made their money back off of them, so they was letting them go for a lot cheaper than you could really get them. And I had somebody reach out to me that knew who I was and knew that I was doing what I was doing, and reached out to me, and like I said, I want to say like 2.5 months, I got it done. And whoever bought it came right behind me.
So did you have to get each property under contract, or did you just get like the entire?
Everything was on one contract.
Interesting. How did you know what to offer for the purchase price?
I actually didn't offer it. I knew once they told me how much they wanted, that was a steal. I think what I did, I still ran the numbers on. I pulled my comps on everything, just to make sure, like just to see how much I could make.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I could have probably made $1 million more if I was being greedy, but you can't be greedy in, well, you could be greedy in wholesaling, but it's not going to last long.
I appreciate that. I think that's a good point. That's one thing Greg Cardone always says. You have to leave enough on the – he said you have to leave some meat on the bone.
Yeah, for everybody to eat.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, how are you going to buy a buyer? How are you going to find a buyer if you haven't left any profit potential for them?
Right. And I think that's why I have repeat buyers, because like even I've been in Charlotte 2 months now, and I've done like 6 deals, but because I've been still working everywhere else. But I've only had one buyer. He bought all 6 deals from me because I'm feeding him enough to where he can still make money off of them.
So on these deals, are you sending out mailers? Are you making phone calls? Like, what's your marketing strategy look like?
As far as me finding buyers, I send out emails. And I post on social media sometimes. I use this app called Connected Investors. I'll post a deal on there. They have investors from all over the country. I talk to anybody who wholesale. There's a bunch of wholesale groups on Facebook that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I have people messaging me every day about either finding them deals or helping them sell a deal. And that's about it as far as finding the buyers. As far as finding my leads, the homes who need to be sold, my favorite thing is driving for dollars. I get up and go in the lower income areas every day, 2 hours. I'm out there trying to find 10 to 20 houses. If it's an area I can't get to, like if in another city or somewhere, I have bird dogs who will send me leads, and they can make $1,500 just for driving around for a couple hours.
I feel like driving for dollars is a strategy that people overlook, but I feel like it's important because it makes your call more personal. You know more about the property than just it's a number on a piece of paper. So like, right. Yeah, you found the property. Yeah, you see the number, but you've kind of narrowed down what you're doing at that point, because you can get a non-owner occupied, you can get an out-of-state owner, you can get a probate list, you can get all these lists, but if the property is in good condition, it's a waste of time to buy. But if you can find a property that's like crappy, your odds of success are going to increase.
Right. And I think I like driving for dollars because I get to see the neighborhood. I get to see where, okay, I know somebody's not going to buy it for the same amount 2 streets over if that's a whole different neighborhood. And like I tell people all the time, you can send out thousands and thousands and thousands of letters, and you still have to wait on them people to call you back. If you can go drive for 2 hours, get them numbers for another, it probably takes 30 minutes.
Right.
To 10, 20, pull up 10, 20 owners and find the phone number.
Yep.
There's way more, it's more efficient. Absolutely. And I like that about it. And plus I like to get my hands dirty. I like to be a part of the whole process.
Yeah. What would you say was your worst deal?
I just signed a contract on last night. A guy I used to work with. I hope you don't hear this. he has houses that he has I don't know what you call them, assisted living houses, I guess. No, something like that. But he has houses for people getting out of rehab and rooms for rent and houses like that. So he called me about a month ago. It was like, hey, I need this house gone, and I was like, cool. And it's in one of the areas in Memphis that people aren't really investing in. So he was like, hey, I want 20,000 for the house. And I was like, okay, cool. We know each other. We cool. He helped me out a bit when we was working together. So I was like, I don't even want too much money for it. Give me $1,000, and we just call it a day. And I know he has more houses, so if he's trying to get rid of some more, I can make some more money on the back end. Man, I sent him the contract over. He sent it to another dude. The dude sent me back the contract. Because it was him, I didn't do my due diligence. So I didn't look up the title or who actually owned the house or whatever. He told me another guy owned it, and I ended up finding a buyer. Like, the contract was about to expire. Actually, I think the contract did expire, and I found a buyer off Connected Investors, and he was like, I'll take it. So I was like, cool. I called him back, sent him the contract over. He's computer illiterate. He don't know how to work DocuSign. So I had to actually go and do it myself. Go actually get to Memphis and have him sign it in person. And I'll remember all this for $1,000. And I get it back to the buyer. Turns out he actually owns the property, not the other guy that he told me owned the property. So I had to get him personally to sign it. And it was a whole bunch of crap. And the buyer is impatient, to say the least. Mm-hmm. He was calling, texting me all day yesterday. Man, I need the contract. What's the update? Like every 30 minutes, and I'm telling him I'm trying to get it. I'm on my way. I'm doing what I can. And so I ended up getting it done like 10 o'clock last night, and it'd be going over to the title company Monday. But that was a lot of work for $1,000. Hopefully he ready to sell some of these houses.
So you mentioned that the wholesale. You mentioned, well, you have there's two things that I heard in that. The first is that the contract expired. So my question to you is, what do you do when the contract expires? But my other question is, it seems like you actually had found a buyer for the deal before you even closed the deal. So can we talk about both of those, like contract expiration and then your strategy in finding? It sounds like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but if I am wrong, correct me.
No, so how I usually go about it, because I don't know most of these people, the contracts that I use have a 10 business day inspection period. That is my gray area to find a buyer and get a buyer in there to see the house and say they want to buy it. If I don't get a buyer within those 10 days, what I usually do is just tell the homeowner, look, it's not going to work for me. I'm not going to be able to buy it, and we walk away, no harm, no foul. On this deal, because I knew the buyer, I stretched it out. I wasn't worried about inspection period. And I wasn't worried about the contract expiring, because I know if he really wanted to go on here, sign another one. And I ended up finding the buyer like right before, like probably the day before the contract expired, because I only put my contracts 15 days out. But it took another 2 weeks for everybody to get their stuff together. And this buyer just texted me and said he don't work on Sundays. But the one I'm talking about now. But yeah, it took 2 weeks to actually get everything together. So I just had him sign another contract. But usually them 10 days, if I don't find a buyer, I'm walking away.
Wow. Why do you do it in 15 days? You said something about 15 days.
Because I as much as I hate to admit it, I'm kind of arrogant. I tell people to use 30 days because you should be able to find a buyer in 30 days, and you don't want to hold up no one's property for that long. Because our whole selling point is fast closing, and it's going to be a cash deal. So you don't want to tell them I can close in 10, 15 days if you really can't do it. I've gotten to the point where I can usually close in 10, 15 days. So, of course, I'm going to tell you, I 2 weeks. And then I live by underpromise, over achieve, or over deliver. So I tell people, 30 days, and you should be able to get it done in 20. So if you tell a buyer 30 days and you get it done in 20, they're going to respect you more and they're going to like you more and all that. It's not, I won't call it lying, but it's, sometimes it may take those 30 days.
Yeah. I think
just give yourself room.
I think it's dope because a lot of people think that if they are wholesaling and they put a property under contract, that either they have to sell it or they have to buy it, but they don't realize they can just walk away if it doesn't work out. And so you can put in offers confidently for a number that's confident, and either you're going to find a buyer or you can just not find a buyer and just walk away, but you're not going to be stuck. And a lot of people think that they're going to be stuck. And I think that's the fear of wholesaling, is people think that if they get into this deal, then it's super risky. So it's you sign this contract and you're thinking they're either going to sue you or it could get really bad. But what you're saying is that hey, first and foremost, you're going to send out an email, send out a text blast, and if somebody's going to buy it probably that same day. So you don't have to do too much marketing. You know who your buyers are, and you probably know what you're to buy it for.
I've literally done deals in 2 hours. But that also depends on the contract that you use, because I've heard of a guy that I mentored that he got a contract. I don't know where he got his contract from, but he used the contract and couldn't get it sold. And the homeowners were suing him for the price of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up having to get a lawyer and get him out of it somehow. But I told him he needed to start reading over his contracts and talking with lawyers before he do stuff like that. Right. But most contracts have that inspection period in there. You just got to know how to use it.
Right. So then it's that's your escape clause. Hey, this didn't check out, so I'm going to have to walk away.
Right.
Awesome. So one thing I'm seeing. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. Another thing, when trying to sell, there's more than wholesaling than most people know. As far as exit strategies, there's things like lease options, subject to, that you can use for different situations, so you don't have to walk away from a deal.
Absolutely. I feel that's why wholesaling is so dope to me. Because wholesaling is the foundation of real estate investing. If you are a real estate investor, you have to wholesale. Because, if you have big money, you got to wholesale. But let's say, for example, you're starting from zero. You can wholesale, which is going to first and foremost teach you how to evaluate deals. It's going to teach you how to run comps. It's going to teach you how to make offers. It's going to teach you how to find rehab costs, which is major. And then you're getting the deals before anybody else get the deals. These aren't MLS deals where everybody has access to. These aren't any other deals where everybody's seen it. It's you're the first person to see this deal. That's such an advantageous position to be in. And then if you decide to sell it, you can sell it. If you decide to rehab it and rent it for yourself, you decide to rehab it and flip it for yourself, if you decide to whatever. It's such an advantageous position to be in. And I think that's why you have to constantly be marketing for deals, even if you don't call yourself a wholesaler. If you call yourself a real estate investor, you still got to be marketing for deals. Like for me,
Right.
we are buying whole investors, but we still got to be making phone calls, still got to be sending out mailers. We need everybody in that city to know we're buying deals because we are. So it's like, why would we let a wholesaler get in front of us? We need to get in front of the wholesaler, not let the wholesaler get in front of us. And so then we're paying them, because I've done deals where we bought property and then you see the price on the contract. You're like, dang, you made this much money to sell this house to me? I'm like, we should be making that money.
Yeah, that's also why people do what they call double closing, because I don't think most buyers don't care as long as they make what they can make.
I care.
But a lot a lot of sellers, if you have to talk them down too much, or like if you can make, I say, more than $15,000 off a deal, then you might want to try double closing.
That's actually very smart.
Because if they get in there and say, you know what, they make too much money, they can stop their deal.
They can.
I don't want their.
And so for people who aren't aware, what is the difference between the two types of closing? Because you have you have a double close, and you have an assignment of contract.
Yeah. So assignment of contract is basically assigning your equitable rights in the property, which is really just the paper, the contract to sell. I mean, the contract to purchase. You're just assigning that contract to a buyer. You're flipping a piece of paper. Double closing is you actually buying the house, and your buyer will come right behind you and buy the house maybe like 2, 3, 5 minutes later. Your name will go on the title, the list of names on the title, and all that. You need what they call transactional funds. It's my understanding right now that it is illegal for you to use your buyer's money to buy the house. So you have to get funds from another private money lender or something, and they usually charge like 1%. Even for like 3 minutes, they're going to charge. And you have to pay double closing costs.
Yeah, but there are lenders out there who will do that. So if you are a wholesaler and you're looking for, I forget what they call it. I'm not sure if it's bridge financing or just whatever financing. Yeah, so they'll literally like cover your financing for 24 hours or however long it takes to close that wholesale deal.
Right.
So I've been seeing a lot of new wholesalers, and I saw Charm City Buyers made a comment, and they were talking about how like they got a deal from like a new wholesaler and they didn't really like the numbers. Are you seeing a trend towards wholesaling, and what's your kind of thoughts on newbie wholesalers and their impact on your business?
There are, but I consider myself new. Wholesaling was becoming a trend when I jumped in a little bit over 2 years ago. I think I just went about it in a different way than most others. I actually took time out to learn what I was doing, and I got close with some people who were actually doing what I wanted to do, and they helped me. A lot of people just out here, they watch a couple YouTube videos, they think they can do it. As far as their impact on me, I don't think about it too much, but I know that wholesalers don't have the best reputation. But I also buy whole and flip, so I know what everybody. I understand everybody's perspective because I do everything.
I'm actually glad you brought that up because that's where I was taking this conversation next. I was on your page and you said that you just acquired a 10 unit, I think, either an 8 or 10 unit.
Yeah, actually, I got an 8 unit at the end of the year and just got a 10 unit a couple of days, like a week ago.
So, man, I want to talk about the 8 and the 10, but I want to talk about your very first acquisition. What did that acquisition look like, and what was that deal look like?
My very first acquisition was, and nobody actually believes me, I paid $600 for a house. It was a lady, same block that I grew up on. Like, this is where I started at, this is where I started working at. It was a lady owned the house. She was behind on the taxes, $600. She didn't want nothing to do with the house. Like I said, I was already working 80 hours a week, so I had $600 to spend. I called her, and she was like, I don't want nothing to do with the house. Just pay the taxes off, and you can have it, and she'll sign it over. And so that's what she did. And the house was beat up, like almost to the point where you needed to tear it down. But it was a small house. So I didn't have no money to fix it up. Needed like, I want to say $12,000 just to get it up and running. I didn't have $12,000. I didn't know nothing about hard money lending. I had just learned what wholesaling was. So what I did was I took their first check that I got for $3,500, put it up. I didn't touch it, and I took my next 2 wholesale deals and got the house fixed and got it rented out.
I love it. I love it when people use real estate to fund their real estate. So many people think that they have to use outside money or banks or lenders to fund their real estate deals. And what they don't realize is, like, in a lot of ways, your real estate funds your real estate. It's just your job to get the ball rolling. It's like you prime the pump and then the pump funds itself. So your rents can pay for your rehab. Your wholesaling can pay for your rehab. Your projects can fund more projects. And I feel like that's the major hack. It's like I always tell people, like, you don't buy a fleet of trucks. You buy a truck and the truck buys the fleet. Like, we got to get out of this mindset of, like, I got to do all the work and I got to make all the money and I got to use my labor to pay for everything. Like, that's completely slave limited, like, working class mentality. That's how workers think. That's how working class people think.
Right. Because I think I put up maybe 80% of my wholesale deals, and that's what buys my rental properties. Just like the 18 units I just bought, the 2 different buildings, they came from wholesale money. The last deal I did, and I actually got the 8 unit really cheap on a tax sale, but the money that it takes to get it rent ready is coming from wholesaling.
You know what's interesting is you probably were able to recognize that it was a deal because you're a wholesaler. And so, like, as a wholesaler, it's really your job to understand value, which is really what I do in the stock market. Like, you got to know what things are worth, and you got to take advantage of people who don't know what things are worth. As unfortunate as that sounds, like, they don't know. They don't know that it's worth 10 to 15 more than what you're paying them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to get in there and buy it for whatever price you're buying it for. But on the other hand, you're also helping them out because a lot of them aren't going to be able to have the access to a quick sale. They aren't going to have the money to repair it so it can sell for market price. Like, it's a fair game. It's an understandable game. But I think that kind of speaks to the value of wholesaling that we spoke to earlier, which is, yeah, you have access to properties before people get to them, but you're gaining skills, knowledge, influence, connections. Like, that's going to make you a better investor, period. It's not just about the wholesale check. It's about the bigger picture. It's kind of like what I was talking about earlier. I was saying, like, if I were to get any kind of real estate credential, I would want to be an appraiser because appraisers know what properties are worth. And so then you know if a property is listed for less than what it's worth, or you know how to negotiate it for less than it's worth because you know how much things cost. You know how much a certain kitchen's going to add value to a property, or roof's going to add value to a property, or foundation, or plumbing, electrical, all those different things. Like, you learn that because you're learning the value, and wholesalers are really appraisers because you are valuing that property.
Right. Absolutely. I think my next thing is I want to get a general contractor license because I want to know as far as rehabbing.
Absolutely.
But like you said, wholesaling, you basically are appraisal. You got to go in and figure out how much that house is worth before you can figure out how much you can offer for it.
Absolutely. It's so funny. I was going to talk to Mabel about this, but the idea of becoming your own GC, because it's like, once you can walk into a property and evaluate everything, then at that point, you're just hiring the people to get the job done. You don't need to hire a GC to come in and do what you do, which is worth money. There are so many profit points in real estate aside from just rental income or the margin between what you buy it for and what you sell it for. There are so many people that get paid. Appraisers get paid. Realtors get paid. Property managers get paid. GCs get paid. Trades get paid. Like, everybody eats, B. Title companies get paid. Like, there's so much money to be made in real estate that people are just walking over because they're so focused on just the rental income or just the appreciation on that flip.
Right. And we probably have to talk about this off air, but me and this young lady I met on Twitter just found another niche to where it's going to be very profitable for people in real estate. Yeah, we'll have to talk more about that off air. There's something on the wraps right now, but it's a lot of money in real estate.
Let's talk about the 8 unit and the 10 unit, man. How did you find that first of the units?
The 8 unit was actually, I checked Shelby County Land Bank probably monthly. And because when I first started getting a little money, I was buying little $50 plots of land. And I own, I think, 10 of them now. I had like 13. But I started buying like little $50 plots of land, and they have houses on there for like $2,000 or $3,000. So the end of November, I actually posted a video on my Instagram. I was going down the list and I saw a building for $8,000, and I looked at it and it was structural, like you could do something with it. And I was like, $8,000, okay, I got this. Like that ain't no lot of money. So I went down there, gave them the money. Usually you don't have to put down 5%. I wouldn't put down the whole 8. And the thing about Land Bank in Shelby County is the people have a year to come back and pay their taxes, but whatever that you've done to it, you can put a lien on it for that amount or whatever amount that you choose, and they have to pay it to get it back. So I'm not worried about nobody coming to get it back. That rarely happens. But yeah, I got that. And I already got a team in Memphis that I trust. So I told them $50,000, that's my budget. Go make it happen. Mm-hmm. And they're about 75% of the way done. So better be up and running no later than March.
How much do you think it'll be worth once it's done?
Maybe I think the number was like 140.
So you purchased it for 8, put 50 into it. It's worth 140.
Yep.
Are you planning to sell it or just keep it?
Oh no, I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna rent it out, maybe $450 a unit. And that's what, $3,600 a month.
Mm-hmm. Which is like $40,000 a year.
Right.
You make your money back in a year and a half.
Yep.
Awesome. That is dope, man. What did the second multifamily property look like for you?
The 10 unit was a lot more money. It was actually a wholesaler sent it to me. Spent $230 on it. Probably gonna need like 60, 70 in work. I'm still doing the numbers on that one, and it's gonna be worth like $500.
Wow, that's a deal. We were looking at Memphis, and I just wasn't completely sold on Memphis, but apparently there's opportunity out there. I wasn't sold on it just because, for me, I'm following other trends. And so I saw a bunch of people investing in Detroit with us, and I was thinking, I was like, if everybody's investing in there, it seems like a good place to be. The news is still pretty bad. It's not as bad as it used to be, but
right.
It just seemed like a good place to be. But apparently Memphis is where it's at. Apparently we need to be in Memphis.
Well, if you ever look, I got a team there. If you don't, I don't know if your team travels, but I got a team there. If you want to do some deals there, I wholesale in maybe 10, 11 different cities.
Wow.
So yeah, if you ever want to do some deals in Memphis, I'll fly back down there in a heartbeat. We can do whatever you want to do. I was actually talking to Maydu about getting him a multi-family down there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
if somebody wanted to know how to get started investing or how to get started wholesaling, what would be your number one tip for them?
My number one tip would be to get out there, talk to people. A lot of people get analysis paralysis. They start studying for years and they never do it. It's okay to go out there and make mistakes. The only thing you really have on the line as a wholesaler is your reputation. You can't lose no money. You can waste your time, but I mean, if you're learning in the process, you're not wasting time.
Right.
So really, the only thing you have to lose is your reputation. And if you're just a bad wholesaler, you can always go do something else. But yeah, just get out there, talk to people. Take a class, get a mentor, get a coach, something. Don't just sit there and think you're gonna learn everything yourself off YouTube.
I saw that you mentioned that a crash is coming. Why do you think a crash is coming?
I'm looking at the trends from what happened in 2007, 2008, back when I was only 18, 17 then, so I wasn't like actively investing or even thinking about it back then. But when I first started looking into real estate, that's what my guy told me to do. Just study the Great Depression, study all the market crashes, study finance, study economics in different cities. And so what I've been looking at, a lot of companies, a lot of banks have been getting sued, not banks, mortgage companies have been sued for giving loans to unqualified people, which is the same thing that happened in 2007. Interest rates, same thing. Like, we're going in the same trend.
Right.
The only thing is, I seen you say something about it. I don't think it's a every 10-year thing, because prior to 2008, there wasn't one in 1998. So it's not a every 10-year cycle. I just think that the people who were responsible for the crash last time did not get punished the way they should have. So they're going to, they're not learning from their mistakes, and they're going to do it again. And I want to say it's coming in the next 2 or 3 years.
What are your 5-year goals?
My 5-year goals. My biggest one is to go ahead and begin on my community redevelopment. The neighborhood I grew up in, Memphis, Orange Mound, is the first Black neighborhood in Memphis. Mm-hmm. I want to go in, take a couple $1 million, and see what I can do. By then, I should have more than enough influence to get some people behind me. Also, I want to get my real estate license in another 3 states. I want to get more into insurance adjusting than I am already. I'm opening up a trade house that allows. I'm teaching people how to trade the stock market, because I do that as well. So what I want to do is get a couple of houses. I want to franchise it. Maybe like 2 in every city to just teach at-risk youth or underprivileged people how to use the stock market.
That's awesome. I got some space for you in Detroit. Holla at your boy.
I got you. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. And as far as like my personal goals, I hope to be married in 5 years and start working on my family. I'm getting old. And moving to, I'm really on the fence between Houston and Dallas, but my heart is in Dallas.
What is the biggest thing that you learned in 2018?
The biggest thing I learned in 2018 What I told people to do, just talk to people. I didn't like as far as the real estate stuff like we do on Twitter now. I was not doing it on my previous account. I followed a couple people, but I was still doing like you know stuff I shouldn't have been doing, acting a fool, whatever. Talk to as many professionals as you can. If they will talk to you, talk to them. But also bring value. You can't just mooch off people. I try to bring value to any conversation I'm having with anybody. Regardless if I think I'm an expert or if I know I don't know nothing. You got a weakness at some point, and I'm gonna try to help you with it. So just talk to people. People are willing to help you for free, not hold your hand for free. Nobody's gonna hold your hand for free, but people will give you some good advice for free. You just gotta ask for it.
Who is somebody that you look up to and why?
Somebody I look up to. I look up to quite a few people. The main person I would say right now is my guy Joel. He's the one that brought me into real estate. We grew up in the same place. I seen what he's been doing lately. He has his own global real estate company. He traveling the country for insurance adjusting. He brought me out of a dark time in my life. So I really commend him for that. I appreciate him. That's my brother, and he's still doing his thing. And we still talk. We probably talk like once a week now, but we still talk regularly, and he's still doing his thing. That's my guy.
What is your favorite business book?
Principles by Ray Dalio.
Interesting. Why?
That book.
You're a big reader, so it's interesting that is the book that you chose of all the books.
I literally called that book my Business Babble. His principles are life altering. There are a lot of things in that book that you would notice, but you wouldn't pay no attention to it until you read the book. And he teaches you how to respectfully disagree with people. For instance, there was a thing bubbling today on Twitter about the under 30 thing.
Which we got to talk about. We got to talk about that, man. After you answer this question, we got to talk about that. So go ahead.
Yeah, me being under 30, of course, I was on one side, but I see from both sides. That book teaches you how to maneuver not only in business but in life from one of the most successful people that you'll probably ever hear of.
Right. My favorite quote from that book, and it's not verbatim, but he makes this comment that, like, in order to be a successful investor, you have to be able to go against the pack and, like, be patient about that. And that's something I always do. Like, we're in Detroit, it's against the pack, but it's starting to come back. That was just profound. Like, it's not verbatim. I wish I could find the actual verbatim quote, but it's just something I've learned from experience by misfiring in the stock market, buying bad deals. The other thing I wanted to say is I don't disagree with Nita because she don't play, man. She called me out once, but Nita is like dope, man. I don't play with her. My question is, what is your take on that argument, that 30 plus that she was saying?
Me being under 30, I feel like I know a lot, and like I said, I take myself seriously, and I feel like the people that I present myself to professionally take me serious. So I don't really, I'm not gonna say I don't care that she don't take me serious because I look up to her and I have so much respect for her, but I don't think she meant it in a malicious way. Right. I don't think she was like, "Oh, you under 30, you ain't nothing, whatever." I just felt like she realizes that once you turn a certain age, there's another level that you tap into. Mm-hmm. Me being an optimist, I'm hoping for it to reach that level. And I seen someone tell her that the brain stops developing at 25. I don't think that's valid because even if your brain stops developing, you never stop learning. You never stop maturing. So there's still things you can learn at 30 that you're not gonna experience at like I just turned 28.
Mm-hmm.
2 years, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be a more evolved me.
Mm-hmm.
So I see where you're coming from. As far as the people, I seen the people that was rebuttaling were like way younger, like 20. The one guy taught, he's 19. So I can see when somebody say I don't take you serious, and dude is very, very, very business savvy. Like dude, he's good at what he do.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone was to tell him, "Oh, I don't take you serious because you're under 30," I can see why he would feel like there's somebody spitting in his face. I don't think like she said, his ego fragile. He's young. He got to understand once he gets up in age, he'll understand everybody not gonna be, it ain't all rainbows.
Right. I feel like a lot of it has to do. I really was thinking about this today. Is a lot of us were encouraged to go to school really young, establish ourselves very young, so much so that we thought that life ended at 30. And we don't really realize that like all that young schooling, all that young education was to prepare us to dominate our 30s, to dominate our 40s, to dominate our 50s. It wasn't so that we could just like be 28 and say, oh, I'm done. Like,
right.
I think the interesting thing about that is I graduated from college at 22, had a great job working for Edward Jones. From there, went and worked for Chase Private Client. From there, went to law school. And I turned 30 and I realized like I didn't know anything. And I was on my stuff. Like I was doing it. But a lot of things didn't connect and didn't click until like I got to like 30, 31, 32. And I'm really hitting it now, like hitting it. Granted,
right.
it had to do with the fact that I was like in law school for the remainder of my 20s. But I feel like there are certain things that people, when they hit their 30s, they're going to really see life through new lenses. I don't know why that is. I just know it is. And so what I told Maydu, I was like, it's for the people who are younger and are already on their stuff, it's only going to be better. So it's like if you are 28 and already killing it, imagine when you hit 30. Imagine when you hit 31, 32. Because life comes in focus. Like for me, I always tell people like when I was young, I wanted to talk to every girl that I could come in contact with. And now I appreciate having a deeper relationship with one woman as opposed to a bunch of shallow relationships with every woman. And I think that's an age thing. And it's very tough to be that person when you're still in your 20s or your early 20s or however, when you're a teenager. Like you just think you got to hit everything. And maybe you do got to hit everything so you can appreciate having that one relationship. But yeah, 30, it was interesting that she made that comment because I definitely agree. It's something I've experienced in my own life. And unfortunately, for people who aren't there yet, they can only disagree because they don't know. Like it's impossible for you to say, I disagree from a true place of understanding because you're not 30. So like you can only disagree from your perspective.
Right.
But yeah.
I mean, I feel like just like you say a lot of stuff that isn't you actually I tell people this all the time. You be on point what you say. I think people only read a certain part of something and then their emotion clicks and they don't understand nothing else that comes before or after that part that they seen that made them click.
Right.
And so once they see that, they see something, they see that one thing and they ready to attack.
Right. It's funny. It's funny that you said that.
I think that's what she caught backfire. She caught some Todd treatment today.
Yeah, she did. I gotta let her know she got the Todd Millie treatment. That's funny. That's definitely what happens. I feel like it's tough to express everything in 140 characters, but it's also a lot of people who have like that whole concept of what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance. Yeah, cognitive dissonance, where you say something that shakes their foundation, and so they have to disagree, even if it's right. They have to disagree because you are telling them that they're wrong, even if you're right. And so that's why I just try to live my own best life, man. I'm not trying to get out here and change the world anymore. I mean, I want to help and shape things through Thai Capital, but I'm not trying to like make you believe what I believe if you don't already believe it and if you're unwilling to.
Right.
So,
and I think that was my thing as well. I was trying to change the world, and my guy Joel was like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like you have to be better before you can give to anybody else. So I started focusing on myself.
Awesome. What does wealth mean to you?
Wealth is being able to provide for people that you may not live to see. If I feel like if I can provide for my great grandchildren that I might not live to see, that's wealth. I want to be able to make sure that they are taken care of, because they may not be as strong and as hard working and as driven as me. So in case they're not, they need to be able to at least survive.
That's a bar. That's the best answer I've ever gotten on this show, man. That was a very good answer. That's awesome, man. You maybe had rehearsed that or something, but that was really good. We'll turn that into a meme. As soon as we get off this call, I'm turning that into a meme.
That was unscripted, unrehearsed.
That's awesome. I think I might have already asked you this question, but what sets apart successful investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
The love for what they do. One of the things when I first sat down and realized I was going to actually do this, I made a diagram of things I wanted to do, things I was good at. And in the middle was real estate. Well, it was helping people. And I realized that, a lot of the things that were in the middle applied to real estate. So that's what I got in. That's why I went ahead and, went full force into it. People have to love what they do. Otherwise, at their first hiccup, they're going to stop. If they don't understand something at the beginning, they're going to, it's over. They're done with it. They don't care. You have to have some kind of passion about what you're doing. Otherwise, it's going to take literally little to nothing to make you stop doing it.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you say that, because it's like the book Start With Why. Like the idea of a why actually ends up being a love for what you do. And like for me, it's like my organization, it's like I never really phrased it as love, but it is passion. It is like, I want to see this come to fruition. So That's very interesting.
I love Simon Sinek.
Last question.
That book is really good.
He wrote that. He wrote Leaders Eat Last. I think he wrote another book that I can't think of, but Leaders Eat Last is a very good book. I need to reread that one. He's a great author.
I'm going to buy that one.
Where can people find out more about you and anything else you have going on?
I'm not really a public figure, but you can follow me on Twitter, B_REINVST. Follow me on Instagram, BRANDON_QUIXOTE. And I'm on Facebook, Brandon M. Jones. I got a couple websites coming up. I'm selling real estate merchandise. I got a site coming up for my coaching class. Me and a friend of mine, Josh, are starting a financial community to where we are trying to get entrepreneurs and businessmen and whoever to complete their goals, their financial goals. We're going to offer them as many resources as we can. There's going to be a whole big community just helping each other, sort of like what you do at Thai Capital.
Awesome.
And it's crazy because I think his name is Lance. I don't know if it's his real name or not. But Lance tweeted something about the mob and people moving like the mob, except for like financial families. And I was like, you all at Applied Capital, and I was thinking like we could be the second financial family.
I never thought about that. That's dope, man. We're like some financial gangs around here.
Right.
That's dope. I never thought about that.
That's basically what we're working on as well.
That is awesome. That is so cool. That's awesome. I love to see it. I always say that business and investing are team sports. That doesn't mean you need to be on my team, but it does mean that you need to be on a team. So if that team is Brandon's team, if that team is Andre's team, if that team is Ericka's team, all these different teams that are popping up, nothing is impossible with the team. If you want to buy a truck, start a team. If you want to buy an apartment building, start a team. If you want to buy a hotel, start a team. That's what they do, and that's what we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and send this show off. Thank you for coming on the show, man. It was a great episode. I listened to your podcast for Corporate Coke, and I knew I had to get you on the show. I didn't know you were doing podcast interviews. So I was like, since he's doing interviews, I got to get him on this show too.
Thank you for having me. This is probably going to be the last one. I don't really like the attention, but if I can help people, I'll do them.
Absolutely. You're definitely going to get the attention. So I'm sorry to say, but people and it's a good thing. I mean, I guess the disclaimer for people is that you got to Todd Capital Investment Club and the Todd Capital Millionaire podcast is for informative purposes only, but Brandon is a solid dude. He's doing some great things. But business is going to come your way. People are going to love your story. They're going to resonate with you. They're going to connect with you. They're going to feel like they know you just by hearing this story. So you're going to find buyers, more sellers, all that good stuff. And that's just the cool thing about what we do. It's just helping other people. There are people who have listened to the show, have connected with the listeners, and have done great things. And that's why I do it. I do it to help uplift the community through community development. This podcast, in a sense, is community development. It's not necessarily in real estate, but we're developing the minds of our people. So,
right.
Stuff. If you are interested in joining either of our investment clubs, you can email membership at Capital Top for the stock club. You can email property management at Capital Top for the real estate club. You can also email myself at charles@capitaltop.com. Thank you all for tuning in. At Todd Capital, we believe that business and investing are team sports. And we just appreciate everybody for coming on this podcast. I'm going to get a cool tagline to just resonate with the podcast. But you guys have a good night. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Top Millionaire, signing off.